All right, welcome back, Leaf Leapers. So what we have here today is we have a major hatching. So one of our clutches have hatched out directly into these tadpoles. And we have a couple that are still waiting to develop enough to hatch out. We got a couple here still in its egg form, just days away from hatching. So I just wanted to go ahead and share with you exactly what we do to set up for our tadpoles. So let's get to it. Now, first thing is we have these cups. I do not believe I know what the fluid ounces on these, but these are like 5.5 ounces. These are 5.5 ounce cups. Okay, if I did have Java moss, I would most definitely throw them in, but I noticed that you don't really need them. I do take a small bit of oak leaf. I add it to every single one prior to adding the tadpoles. So let's go ahead and let's do that right now. And it doesn't need to be quite large enough to just provide those necessary tannins. And I do believe that sometimes they do, if food is not available, they do start to eat some of these leaves. I've seen them degrade. Again, just a little bit, okay? And I don't know, sometimes I feel like it also provides them with shelter, gives them a little bit of, it decreases stress just a little bit, having a place to hide. So again, it's just one of my thoughts. Okay, so the next thing that I do after I am done with that is that I use, right, these little pills, and this is calcium citrate, right? It's in a biologically available form of calcium. And ever since I've added this directly into these cups, right, I've noticed that I have a decreased occurrence of SLS, white spindly leg syndrome. Now I'm going to lose a little bit of focus here as I do open this up. But what I do is I add this directly to a water bottle, a spray bottle just like this. So you could purchase these directly from Amazon, right? It's from your, it's just like a squirt bottle. And then what I do is I add just a little bit to every cup so that you go from a solution that is like primarily water, and then you're adding those key minerals in. And I think that also helps out with osmotic balance, right? Because that is would be largely a hypotonic solution. So if you put your tadpoles there, they would actually gain some water. So I just kind of believe that by adding some solutes, these minerals, it could help out in preventing that, right? Preventing that extra amount of water for these tadpoles to soak up. Okay. Now the next thing I do is I have these little pipettes, right? They usually have a much sharper tip. What I do with that is I cut off the tip to make it a larger diameter. Let me see if I could get a little bit better. It's kind of like a straw. And then what I do is I go directly over to my tadpoles, as you can see here, add a little bit more water. And what I do is I just gently suck them up. So here we have a small tadpole and the tip of the straw here. And then what I do is I just gently deposit them directly into their cup. There's one. So here's another one. I see it. I do generally try to go towards the head region first instead of the tail. There's one directly in there. Go here, suck up a little bit, release. Same thing over here. Quite a lot to transfer today, right? Very active and healthy. That one's in there. Just one off to the side over here. All right, you can see at the tip. And then you could just deposit it directly in. Got a few more over here. I'm going to turn the cup. You could see them just active. Here's one. Again, I like to try to suck them up from the head region first and then find an empty cup. You do not want to deposit two. They are cannibalistic, right? Being thumbnails, Ranatomea. Forgot to mention that earlier on, but There we go. Here's another one. All right, deposit that into another empty cup. And then here is our last one. They are active, which usually indicates that they are pretty happy. I mean, pretty healthy. Okay, there we go. Finally got it there. You can see it in the pipette. And then again, just transfer them directly over to the cup. And then that is it. That's generally the way that I set up my tadpole cups, and that's how I transfer. Okay. If you ever have any comments or questions, feel free to add them directly to the bottom, and I'll try my best to answer them. Okay. Thank you for watching.